Church gatherings in the past looked nothing like they do today. After-service socials were filled with more than faith. They were brimming with delicious foods that brought communities together. Let me introduce you to the forgotten church recipes from the 1960s that no one makes anymore. These dishes once graced countless potluck tables but have slowly disappeared from our collective memory. Ready for a trip down memory lane? Let's dive into these forgotten treasures of church basement gatherings. Bologna and egg pie. Picture a church basement in rural Ohio where resourceful homemakers transformed humble ingredients into dishes that fed dozens. Bologna and egg pie was born from necessity, a savory creation that stretched two simple ingredients into a filling meal. Slices of bologna layered with beaten eggs, a sprinkle of cheese, perhaps a dash of Worcestershire sauce for depth, all nestled in a flaky crust that turned golden in the oven. The result was surprisingly complex, slightly smoky from the bologna, rich from the eggs, all wrapped in buttery pastry that melted on your tongue. A single pie could feed a family of 6 for mere pennies, making it a Depression-era staple that lingered in church cookbooks well into the 1960s. Today, it's all but forgotten, though it offers a nostalgic taste of simpler times. But wait until you hear about the next dish that transformed a fried Southern favorite into potluck perfection: hush puppy casserole. Down in Georgia, church kitchens, clever cooks transformed the beloved fried hush puppies into something that could feed a revival meeting crowd. Hush puppy casserole combined the cornmeal batter with bacon drippings and onions, then baked it to golden perfection, rather than dropping it by spoonfuls into hot oil. The magic happened in the oven, the edges crisped like their fried counterparts while the center remained tender and moist. Each bite delivered that distinctive corn flavor with smoky bacon undertones, satisfying enough to make you close your eyes in appreciation. This humble dish delivered 10 dri of protein per serving, while saving harried church volunteers from standing over hot oil. Modern cooks could easily revive this dish using turkey bacon and cast iron for extra crispness. Which forgotten church recipe could possibly follow this Southern delight? Just wait until you taste what they did with breakfast fruit: raisin gravy. Step into a Kentucky farmhouse after Sunday service, where the scent of freshly baked biscuits mingles with an unexpected companion: raisin gravy. This curious creation poured over warm biscuits like a sweet blanket, challenging everything you thought you knew about gravy. The thick, silky sauce studded with plump raisins delivered a symphony of flavors. Buttery richness cut with the natural sweetness of dried fruit, sometimes brightened with a whisper of cinnamon or vinegar. Like a dessert masquerading as a main dish, it satisfied sweet cravings while providing quick energy from simple carbohydrates. Today's home cooks might substitute cranberries or currants for variety. This clever creation allowed families to enjoy a special breakfast without expensive maple syrup. But the next forgotten recipe took frugality even further, turning garden bounty into something surprisingly delicious: tomato dumplings. In Depression-era church suppers across the Midwest, tomato dumplings emerged as a solution to abundance and scarcity. Garden-fresh tomatoes, simmered until they released their sweet juices, became the unexpected cradle for pillowy dumplings that soaked up every bit of flavor. Each spoonful delivered comfort, the bright acidity of tomatoes dancing with the soft, cloud-like dumplings that melted on your tongue. Some versions leaned sweet with a sprinkle of sugar, others savory with herbs and pepper. Either way, this humble dish stretched pantry staples into a meal that fed body and soul for just pennies per serving. Modern versions could incorporate heirloom tomatoes and fresh basil for an updated twist. Would you try this curious combination? Wait until you discover the medieval dessert that graced church socials for generations: gooseberry fool. Transport yourself to a church social in New England, where women in floral dresses arrange desserts on gingham-covered tables. Among the offerings sits gooseberry fool, an elegant creation with roots stretching back to medieval England. This simple yet sophisticated dessert features tart gooseberries simmered until soft, then folded into clouds of freshly whipped cream. Each spoonful is a study in contrasts, the bright, tangy berries cutting through the rich, vanilla-scented cream like sunshine after rain. Light yet satisfying, this dessert delivers vitamin C and calcium in perfect harmony. For modern palates, raspberries or blackberries make perfect substitutes for hard-to-find gooseberries. But can you handle the next forgotten church recipe? It challenged even the most adventurous eaters with its intensely traditional preparation. Pickled pig's feet. Deep in southern church gatherings, amid the covered dishes and sweet tea, you'd often find a jar of something that tested your culinary courage. Pickled pig's feet. These pink-tinged morsels spoke to a generation that wasted nothing and honored the whole animal. The gelatinous texture gave way to tender meat that easily pulled from the bone, all infused with the sharp vinegar brine and warming spices. Each bite delivered a complex flavor journey, tangy, savory, with hints of bay leaf and peppercorn dancing beneath. Rich in collagen and protein, this was sustenance wrapped in tradition. Today's adventurous eaters might try this with pickled vegetables as a gateway. Would you dare sample this forgotten delicacy? The next church recipe transformed a humble root vegetable into something so elegant you'd never guess its simple origins. Rutabaga souffle. In the church kitchens of Minnesota and Wisconsin, humble rutabagas underwent a miraculous transformation. Practical farm wives turned this root vegetable into an ethereal souffle that defied its peasant origins. Mashed rutabaga, whipped with eggs and butter, rose in the oven like a golden cloud. The first forkful was a revelation. Light as air, yet somehow substantial, with a delicate sweetness that belied its humble beginnings. The buttery top formed, a delicate crust that gave way to the silky interior, a textural dance that delighted the senses. This nutritious dish provided beta-carotene and fiber in a form even vegetable-averse children would eat. Modern cooks might add a touch of nutmeg or maple syrup to enhance the natural sweetness. But can anything compare to our next forgotten recipe? A vegetable preparation so simple yet so transformative, it changed everything it touched. Smothered cabbage. In church kitchens across Appalachia, the humble cabbage underwent a slow metamorphosis. Smothered cabbage began as crisp, peppery leaves and ended as silken, caramelized strands that bore little resemblance to its raw state. The long, slow cooking coaxed out natural sweetness, while bacon drippings or butter added richness that clung to each tender shred. A forkful delivered the complexity of well-developed flavors. Smoky, sweet, and deeply savory with a melt-in-your-mouth texture that defied the vegetable's fibrous reputation. This dish stretched a single head of cabbage to feed many while providing essential vitamins and fiber. Try it with a splash of apple cider vinegar for brightness. But the next forgotten church recipe took fruit preservation to artistic heights with a symphony of flavors that awakened even the simplest meals. Cranberry chutney. Before the days of canned cranberry sauce, church ladies across New England crafted their own vibrant condiments. Cranberry chutney graced holiday tables and Sunday suppers alike, its jewel-toned brilliance lighting up the spread. This wasn't your simple cranberry sauce. Whole berries burst in a symphony of vinegar, sugar, and warming spices. Each spoonful delivered layers of flavor. The sharp tang of cranberries softened by sweet apple, deepened with cinnamon, and brightened with orange zest. Like a conductor's baton awakening each section of the orchestra, this condiment brought harmony to anything it touched. Rich in antioxidants and vitamin C, it fought winter colds while pleasing palates. Modern versions might incorporate jalapeno for a contemporary kick. The next forgotten dish transformed a humble corn product into something so surprisingly sophisticated you'd never guess its simple origins. Hominy bake. In church kitchens across the American Southwest, dried corn transformed into something transcendent. Hominy bake combined these plump, chewy kernels with eggs, butter, and cheese in a dish that straddled the line between side and main. The magic happened in the oven. The top formed a golden crust while the interior remained creamy and rich. Each spoonful delivered a textural wonderland, the satisfying chew of hominy against the velvety egg mixture, punctuated by pockets of melted cheese. This hearty dish provided complete protein when paired with beans, sustaining farm workers and families on tight budgets. Try it with green chilies and sharp cheddar for a modern twist. Just wait until you discover our next forgotten recipe, a vibrant condiment that added a surprising kick to Sunday dinners. Beet relish in farmhouse. Kitchens across the Midwest, late summer canning sessions produced jars of vibrant beet relish that would brighten winter tables for months to come. This ruby-hued condiment was like capturing sunshine in a jar. The sweet earthiness of beets, transformed by vinegar and sugar, created a condiment that danced between sweet and tart. But the secret ingredient, horseradish, delivered an unexpected heat that bloomed at the back of your throat. Each spoonful awakened the palate, cutting through the richness of Sunday roasts or adding life to simple sandwiches. Packed with folate and fiber, it was medicine disguised as pleasure. Modern versions might incorporate ginger or star anise for complexity. But can you handle our next forgotten church recipe? It transformed parts of the chicken that most modern cooks discard into something truly special: gizzards and rice. In rural Southern church gatherings, practical cooks transformed humble chicken gizzards into a dish worth celebrating. This slow-simmered delicacy represented the ingenuity born of necessity, taking what others might discard and creating something delicious. The long cooking rendered tough gizzards fork-tender, their unique texture providing satisfying chew against the fluffy rice. Each bite delivered deep, concentrated chicken flavor that could only come from these hard-working muscles, enhanced by onions, garlic, and pepper. This thrifty dish provided remarkable protein, nearly 30 green per serving, at a fraction of the cost of other meats. Try it with wild rice and mushrooms for a modern interpretation. But the next forgotten church recipe transformed spring's first harvest into a dessert so ethereal it seemed to capture the season itself. Rhubarb fool. In Midwestern church socials, as spring's first rhubarb pushed through the soil, this vibrant dessert made its annual appearance. Rhubarb fool transformed the tart stalks into a cloud-like creation that belied its simple ingredients and preparation. Stewed rhubarb, its sharp edges softened by sugar, folded into billows of fresh cream, created a study in contrasts. Each spoonful delivered waves of flavor, the bright tanginess of rhubarb cutting through rich vanilla-scented cream, creating a dance of sweet and tart that awakened the palate. This springtime treat provided vitamin K and calcium while celebrating the season's first harvest. Modern versions might layer it with crushed ginger snaps for added texture. The next forgotten church recipe transformed simple ingredients into a visual masterpiece that was as beautiful as it was delicious: pickled beet eggs. Walk into any Pennsylvania Dutch church gathering, and you'd spot these jewel-toned beauties gleaming from glass jars. Pickled beet eggs transformed ordinary hard-boiled eggs into ruby-hued wonders that tasted as remarkable as they looked. Slice into one and witness the artistry, the deep magenta exterior giving way to white and golden layers within. Each bite delivered complex flavors, the earthy sweetness of beets permeating the firm egg whites, complemented by the vinegar's tang and the subtle warmth of cloves or cinnamon. Rich in protein and economical to make, these eggs provided sustenance with a sense of occasion. Try them with star anise or ginger for a contemporary twist. But the next forgotten church recipe created a meatless main dish long before plant-based eating became fashionable: cottage cheese loaf. In Seventh-day Adventist church gatherings across America, this ingenious creation satisfied appetites while aligning with vegetarian principles. Cottage cheese loaf stood proudly among Sunday dinner spreads, a protein-rich alternative shaped to resemble traditional meatloaf. Slice into the golden brown exterior to reveal a tender interior studded with nuts and seasonings. Each bite delivered satisfying texture and savory depth that belied its meatless nature. The creamy curds, bound with eggs, the crunch of walnuts, all infused with herbs and spices. This nutritional powerhouse provided 15 g of protein per serving, without a trace of meat. Modern versions might incorporate sun-dried tomatoes or smoked paprika for depth. But wait until you discover how our next forgotten recipe transformed a humble root vegetable into something light as air: turnip puff. In church basements across the Northeast, resourceful cooks performed culinary alchemy with humble turnips. This root vegetable, often overlooked and underappreciated, was transformed into a dish so light and delicate it seemed to defy gravity. Mashed turnips, whipped with eggs and butter until airy, then crowned with buttery breadcrumbs, emerged. from the oven like a golden cloud. Each spoonful delivered unexpected elegance. The earthy sweetness of turnips elevated by butter, with a delicate texture that melted on your tongue. This humble vegetable provided vitamin C and fiber while disguising itself as something far more sophisticated. Try it with a touch of nutmeg and white pepper for contemporary appeal. The next forgotten church recipe turned an inexpensive fish into a dish worthy of special occasions. Haddock and potato bake. In coastal church gatherings, particularly during Lent, this economical fish dish fed crowds with modest ingredients. Haddock and potato bake combined flaky white fish with creamy mashed potatoes in a harmonious union that stretched protein without sacrificing flavor. The golden crust gave way to a creamy interior where delicate fish mingled with buttery potatoes. Each forkful delivered comfort, the mild sweetness of haddock complemented by the earthy richness of potatoes, all bound together in perfect harmony. This thrifty dish provided complete protein and omega-3 fatty acids at minimal cost. Modern updates might include fresh dill and lemon zest for brightness, but can anything compare to our next forgotten recipe? It transformed sweet corn into something that straddled the line between side dish and dessert, sweet corn pudding. Across the Midwest, as summer corn reached its peak sweetness, church potlucks featured this dish that captured sunshine in every spoonful. Sweet corn pudding transformed freshly shucked kernels into a custard-like creation that defied categorization. The first taste delivered pure joy, the natural sweetness of corn suspended in a silky custard that quivered on the spoon. Each bite captured summer's essence, the corn's sweetness deepened by slow baking, the cream adding richness that lingered on the palate. This versatile dish provided fiber and B vitamins while delighting both children and adults. Try it with a sprinkle of sharp cheddar on top for a savory sweet balance. The next forgotten church recipe turned humble dried fruit into a bread, so beloved it was often reserved for special occasions. Date nut bread. In church fellowship halls across America, this deep amber loaf held pride of place at ladies' luncheons and bake sales. Date nut bread transformed humble dried fruits and nuts into something that felt like a special occasion. Slice into the dark, moist loaf to release the aroma of caramel and spice. Each bite delivered textural perfection. Tender crumb studded with pieces of sweet, sticky dates and the satisfying crunch of walnuts. Like autumn wrapped in a quick bread, it delivered complex flavor without fussy techniques. Rich in fiber and healthy fats, it satisfied hunger while providing sustained energy. Modern bakers might add orange zest or cardamom for complexity, but the next forgotten church recipe transformed a humble breakfast cereal into an unexpected dessert that comforted generations. Grape-nut custard. In New England, church suppers, practicality and comfort merged in this unexpected dessert. Grape-nut custard transformed humble cereal into a creamy delight that satisfied sweet cravings without expensive ingredients. The magic happened in the oven. The crunchy cereal softened and swelled in the vanilla-scented custard, creating distinct layers of texture. Each spoonful delivered comforting warmth, the silky custard yielding to slightly chewy cereal nuggets, all infused with gentle sweetness and perhaps a whisper of nutmeg. Simple but satisfying, it provided calcium and created dessert from pantry staples. Try it with a drizzle of maple syrup for added depth. The next forgotten recipe featured a vegetable so rare today that many have never even seen it in markets. Salsify casserole. In rural church gatherings across the northern states, this forgotten root vegetable starred in a dish that belied its humble origins. Salsify casserole transformed the oyster plant into something creamy and sophisticated. Each forkful revealed the vegetable's unique character, mild and subtly nutty, with a hint of artichoke-like flavor, all embraced by a velvety sauce. The delicate taste lingered on the palate, neither assertive nor bland, a perfect companion to Sunday roast. This overlooked vegetable provided inulin fiber and potassium while introducing variety to winter tables. Modern cooks might incorporate parmesan and thyme for enhanced flavor, But can any recipe compare to our next forgotten church classic? These spiced cookies warmed generations of after-service gatherings. Molasses, crackle cookies. In church kitchens from Maine to Minnesota, the aroma of these deeply spiced cookies signaled hospitality and comfort. Molasses crackle cookies greeted parishioners after services, their crinkled tops gleaming with sugar like fresh snow. The first bite broke through the crisp exterior to reveal a chewy center that yielded beneath. Your teeth. Each mouthful delivered waves of flavor. The deep complexity of molasses wrapped in cinnamon, ginger, and cloves, sweet but never cloying. Like Christmas distilled into a humble cookie, they provided iron and calcium while satisfying sweet cravings. Try them with crystallized ginger for modern appeal. The next forgotten church recipe combined unexpected ingredients into a salad that reflected European heritage. Herring salad. In Lutheran and German Reformed church gatherings, particularly around holidays, this distinctive salad honored old world traditions. Herring salad combined preserved fish with potatoes and tart apples in a creation that puzzled outsiders but delighted those in the know. Each forkful offered complexity, the silky, briny pieces of herring playing against the earthiness of potatoes and the bright crunch of apples. A sour cream dressing united these disparate elements into a harmonious whole that delivered umami depth with refreshing acidity. Rich in omega-3 fatty acids and protein, it provided nutrition wrapped in cultural significance. Modern versions might incorporate yogurt and fresh dill for lightness. But just wait until you hear about our next forgotten recipe. A dish so colorful it became a conversation piece at every church gathering. Watergate salad. Across America in the 1970s, church fellowship halls featured this technicolor creation that defied culinary categorization. Watergate salad, a vivid green concoction that was neither truly salad nor dessert, captured the era's love affair with convenience foods. The first spoonful delivered textural surprise, light and fluffy, yet studded with bits of pineapple and the gentle crunch of pecans. Each bite was a sweet, creamy cloud that dissolved on your tongue, leaving behind the distinctive pistachio flavor that lingered pleasantly. Though nutritionally dubious, it brought joy and novelty to countless gatherings. Modern versions might incorporate real pistachios and fresh whipped cream. The next forgotten church recipe transformed two Mediterranean staples into a spread worthy of special occasions. Fig and walnut spread. Church receptions across the country, particularly in communities with Mediterranean roots, this sophisticated spread elevated simple bread to special status. Fig and walnut spread combined old-world flavors in a creation that was both rustic and elegant. Spread on bread or crackers, it delivered concentrated flavor, the honeyed sweetness of figs punctuated by the earthy crunch of walnuts, sometimes brightened with lemon or deepened with brandy. Each taste offered complexity beyond simple jam, a sweet but sophisticated accompaniment to cheese or simple toast. Rich in fiber and healthy fats, it satisfied hunger while pleasing discerning palates. Try it with a touch of rosemary for contemporary appeal. But wait until you discover our next forgotten recipe, a party dip that deconstructed a beloved sandwich. Hoagie dip. In church socials across the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic states, this crowd-pleasing dip reimagined the classic Italian sandwich in shareable form. Holy hoagie dip transformed all the beloved components of a hoagie into a creamy, scoopable creation. Each dip of your cracker or bread delivered the complete sandwich experience: tangy Italian dressing, creamy base, savory meats, sharp provolone, and the fresh crunch of vegetables, all in perfect balance. Like a delicatessen distilled into a single bite, it delivered satisfaction without the mess of handling a full sandwich. Though calorie-dense, it created moments of shared pleasure around the serving table. Modern versions might incorporate Greek yogurt for a lighter base. The next forgotten church recipe filled kitchens with an aroma that signaled love and care to all who entered. Devotion dinner rolls. In church kitchens nationwide, The rhythmic kneading of dough prepared these pillowy staples that accompanied countless community meals. Devotion dinner rolls represented hands-on hospitality in its purest form, breaking. Open a fresh roll released a cloud of steam and the aroma of yeast and butter. The first bite yielded to gentle pressure, the golden crust giving way to a tender, pillowy interior that melted on your tongue. Each roll delivered simple perfection, slightly sweet, richly buttery, and completely satisfying, though basic. In ingredients, they provided comforting carbohydrates and created a vehicle for sopping up every last bit of gravy or sauce. Try them with herbs or whole-grain flour for modern nutrition. But can anything compare to our next forgotten church recipe? It brought Mediterranean freshness to potluck tables. Prayerful pasta primavera salad. In church gatherings during the 1970s, this colorful pasta salad represented culinary adventure and freshness. Prayerful pasta primavera salad combined al dente pasta with rainbow vegetables in a dish that brightened buffet tables. Each forkful delivered refreshing contrast. Tender pasta, crisp vegetables, and zesty dressing, creating a symphony of textures and flavors. The bright acidity of the vinaigrette counterbalanced the mild pasta, while bell peppers and cherry tomatoes added pops of sweetness. Light yet satisfying, it provided vitamins and fiber while offering a welcome alternative to mayonnaise-heavy. Sides: modern versions might incorporate whole-grain pasta and balsamic glaze. The next forgotten recipe proved that German-American fusion created some of the most satisfying church potluck dishes. Sauerkraut casserole. In Midwestern church basements, particularly in communities with German heritage, this hearty casserole represented cultural fusion at its most delicious. Sauerkraut casserole transformed fermented cabbage into a stick-to-your-ribs dish that satisfied the heartiest appetites. The first bite delivered comforting warmth. Tangy sauerkraut mellowed. By slow cooking, enriched with sausage and potatoes, all bound together under a golden cheese topping. Each forkful offered layers of flavor, sour, savory, creamy, and sharp in perfect balance. Beyond mere comfort food, it provided probiotics and sustained energy for hardworking farm families. Try it with smoked turkey for a modern twist. Our final forgotten church recipe celebrated America's hunting traditions with a dish fit for special occasions: wild boar shoulder roast. In rural Southern church celebrations, particularly around harvest times, this magnificent roast honored America's hunting heritage. Wild boar shoulder roast transformed game meat into a feast worthy of the most special gatherings. Carved onto plates, the slow-roasted meat revealed its character, deeper and more complex than domestic pork, with a sweetness that spoke of forage. Each bite delivered satisfaction, tender strands pulling apart with minimal effort, the rich flavor speaking to both wilderness and careful preparation. This celebration dish provided lean protein while connecting diners to landscape and tradition. Modern preparations might incorporate fruit glazes or smoky spice rubs. Wait until you hear about our next recipe that transformed a breakfast staple into an elegant side dish worthy of Sunday dinner: creamed chipped beef on toast. In church fellowship halls across 1960s America, particularly after veterans returned from war, this humble military staple was transformed into a Sunday breakfast tradition. Creamed chipped beef on toast, affectionately called SOS by servicemen, became a nostalgic comfort food that fed crowds on a budget. The savory cream sauce, flecked with thin slices of dried beef, cascaded over golden toast like a warm blanket. On a cold morning, each forkful delivered rich satisfaction, the saltiness of the beef balanced by the creamy sauce with black pepper providing gentle heat that lingered pleasantly. Despite its simplicity, it provided 12 gai of protein per serving, while stretching expensive dried beef to feed many. Modern versions might use lower sodium beef and whole grain toast, but wait until you discover our next recipe: a pie that transformed green tomatoes into something sweeter than you ever imagined. Green tomato mincemeat pie. In late summer church socials across New England, When frost threatened gardens, ingenious cooks transformed unripe tomatoes into a dessert that mimicked expensive traditional mincemeat. Green tomato mincemeat pie saved the harvest while creating a holiday-worthy treat. Slice through the flaky crust to reveal the rich, spiced filling. Tart green tomatoes transformed by cooking with spices, dried fruits, and a touch of vinegar into something mysteriously complex. Each bite delivered warm comfort, notes of cinnamon, clove, and nutmeg dancing with the bright acidity of tomatoes and the sweetness of raisins. This clever substitution provided vitamin C and saved precious meat during lean times. Try it with a splash of brandy for authentic flavor. The next forgotten recipe shows how church cooks transformed simple root vegetables into a side dish worthy of holiday tables. Parsnip patties. In Midwestern church gatherings, when winter stretched food stores thin, these golden discs transformed humble root vegetables into something special. Parsnip patties elevated the overlooked relative of carrots into crispy, savory delights that brightened winter tables. The first bite broke through the golden crust to reveal a creamy interior, subtly sweet with an earthy depth that satisfied deeply. Each patty delivered surprising complexity, the natural sweetness of parsnips enhanced by butter and perhaps a hint of nutmeg, the exterior providing textural contrast to the tender center. Rich in fiber and potassium, they offered nutrition disguised as indulgence. Modern versions might incorporate herbs like thyme or rosemary. But can you imagine the next forgotten church recipe? It transformed canned salmon into an elegant appetizer that appeared at countless receptions. Salmon mousse. In church ladies' luncheons and post-baptism celebrations, this pink-hued creation brought affordable elegance to special occasions. Salmon mousse transformed canned fish into a sophisticated spread that belied its humble ingredients. Spooned onto crackers or molded into decorative shapes, it delivered silky luxury. The richness of salmon, lightened by whipped texture, brightened with lemon and enhanced with herbs. Each bite offered delicate flavor that seemed to melt on the tongue, satisfying yet light enough for second helpings. This resourceful dish provided omega-3 fatty acids and protein while stretching expensive ingredients to serve many. Try it with fresh dill and capers for modern appeal. Our final recipe might be the most surprising, a cake that incorporated a garden vegetable into sweet, spiced perfection. Tomato soup cake. In church bake sales across America during the belt-tightening years, this mysterious spice cake concealed a secret ingredient. Tomato soup cake, yes, made with actual condensed soup, created rich, moist dessert while conserving precious eggs and butter, cut into the russet-colored cake to release the aroma of cinnamon and cloves. Each forkful delivered surprising tenderness, moist, crumbs studded with raisins and nuts. The tomato completely transformed into background sweetness that supported the warm spices. Like autumn on a plate, it offered familiar comfort with mysterious depth. This ingenious recipe provided modest nutrition while satisfying sweet cravings during times of rationing. Modern bakers might add cream cheese frosting for richness. If you enjoyed this nostalgic journey through forgotten church recipes, be sure to give this video a like and subscribe to the channel for more culinary time travel. Let us know in the comments which of these forgotten dishes you remember from your childhood, or which one you'd be brave enough to try. These 30 forgotten church recipes tell a story far beyond ingredients and methods. They reveal the ingenuity, resourcefulness, and community spirit that once defined American gatherings. From transforming humble ingredients into celebration-worthy dishes, to stretching scarce resources to feed many, these recipes represent a culinary heritage worth preserving. Next time you're looking for something different to bring to a potluck or family dinner, consider reviving one of these forgotten classics. You might be surprised by how these humble dishes can still bring people together around the table, just as they did decades ago in church basements and fellowship halls across America. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss our next journey into America's forgotten food traditions. And share your own family's lost recipes in the comments below. We might feature them in our next video.